morning, ma'am. Good morning, classmates. The reading journal article that I'll be reporting today is entitled Most States Pay Too Little Attention to Educator Readiness to Teach Reading by Dian Schaffhauser. A new brief from the National Council on Teacher Quality found that a large majority of states haven't taken steps to make sure their teachers have sufficient knowledge to teach reading. According to the organization, 11 states requires licensing tests for elementary and special education teachers to measure their knowledge of reading instruction. This 11 states includes Arkansas, California, Connecticut, Indiana, Massachusetts, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Virginia, and Wisconsin. The other 40 states that remaining either don't have sufficient licensing tests in place for both groups of teachers, or they don't have no tests at all, which is a little bit saddening in our part, because expecting that the United States, they should have a better test that is being given to those teachers. But knowing in this report, a lot of states, which is almost 40 states, doesn't follow a strict rule in observing this kind of testing. Especially, the main thing that is being talked about here is reading. As the 4-page Dataverse report noted, the lack of these safeguards is especially notable for special education teacher candidates. Given that reading disabilities are the primary reason that students are referred for special education services, and according to the NCTQ research, 5 states have adequate tests in place for the elementary teacher candidates, but not the special education candidates. As we all know, special education requires much more attention, mostly their reading. But how come that it's only 5 states in the United States that have a better testing place to the teachers who will be teaching reading to this especially children, or these children that has special needs? So it's a little bit alarming. The failure of such a high percentage of our children to learn how to read is tragically unnecessary, according to the NCTQ President Kate Walsh. In her statement, we've known for decades that what we need is to change. Educational trends and priorities even flow. But our responsibility to children should not. So there is already a big failure percentage of the children who wants to read but doesn't learn how to read. Why? Because the teacher, who should be much more knowledgeable, have been trained or have been tested inadequately. So as what President Walsh said, decades of learning have already been passed. Most of it has changed already. But the responsibility to teach the children should not change. Many of the states do maintain standards for their teacher preparation programs that require coverage of the science of reading. However, the organization asserted that the standards alone have proven insufficient to ensure that these teachers are prepared to teach the science of reading, generally because they are hard to enforce. So as what the NCTQ have stated, it's very difficult to have a test to these teachers because not all states have adequate materials, testing materials, procedures that needs to be followed. Wall's recommendation said that strong tests backed up by annual reviews of how successful programs are preparing their candidates to pass this test. So it's a little bit challenging for this kind of country, America, to have this kind of suggestion because they are a progressive country. They are the country that is being looked upon by other countries when it comes to teaching. But one President Walsh of the NCTQ said that annual reviews is needed on how these kinds of problems would be sorted out. There should also be a program that should be used to prepare the candidates in order for them to be assured that they would be able to teach reading, especially to the special education, because they are the one who really needs full attention. Full knowledgeable teachers are needed for them to learn reading. NCTQ also suggested two other measures for the states to take. Number one, if their assessment for educator tests knowledge of other subjects alongside reading, to report a separate score specifically on a candidate's reading knowledge. So there are lots of tests given to teachers, but there should be a separate score that would be based on their reading knowledge that should be given, because as what we mentioned in the past slides, reading is really important, both for the elementary because it's the starting phase of their reading, and for the special education children's because reading will be the key for their conversation to other people. And second, to increase the transparency of their oversight of teachers' preparation programs by making information about program success publicly available. So it might sound absurd, but it should be publicly available, those informations that would be needed for these types of tests. Because preparation for taking tests is also needed. You wouldn't be going to a test without proper review, proper preparation. So programs must have the informations publicly available for everyone in order for the teachers to have a preparation, in order for them to be ready whenever they will be taking this test when it comes to reading. And the following documents that I have stated in my report, which includes the state-by-state reading science requirements summaries, is openly available at the NCTQ website. And here are my sources for this report. And about the author of this report, Ms. Dian Schaffhauser is the senior contributing editor for 1105 Media's education publication, The Journal and the Campus Technology. She could be reached at Dian at thisSchaffhauser.com or on her Twitter at Schaffhauser. So before I end up my report, I would just like to give a feedback on this idea. So as a Filipino pre-service teacher, I was a little bit shocked because I was expecting that United States is fully prepared when it comes to teaching, especially for elementary and for special education. But looking onto this report, a lot of their states hasn't, followed the proper tests, or sometimes they don't even have tests. So I hope that this would serve as an eye-opener for every one of us, that even if us Filipino, we must also be vigilant when it comes to testing the teachers who will be teaching reading to our students. And also as a parent, it would be very important as early as now that we must be very careful when it comes to reading, because again, reading is the first step for our children to know about the world itself. So again, this is Bryant Atencia. Thank you so much for listening to my report. Have a good day.